Okay, tonight we got Roxy. She is a school owner in Texas. And every Wednesday we meet. I love to have school owners on here, people who have transitioned from the salon suite, the shop, the barber shop, nail salon, to owning a school. Because when you all hear their stories, it's going to inspire you. You won't have any excuses. All of y'all that are scared, that has fear, when you hear Roxy's story, yes, looking at her, that's the great thing. When God comes over your life and when he's covering you, you can't look at a person and tell the hell that they've been through, going through, any of that. Now, I'm not going to tell y'all nothing about Roxy. She's going to tell you all the good, the bad, the ugly. But Roxy, we want to start from your childhood. Tell us what you were doing as a child.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody. My name is Roxy Reese, and I was born in Los Angeles, California. I grew up there till I was 10, and then my parents moved us to Dallas, Texas. But even when living in California, I was like a part of like a kids gospel group. It was called like the Gospel Kids. And we had like an album, and we would like do like church stuff and sing the gospel. Moved to Texas. I played a lot of sports. I was into softball, basketball, fashion, graduated high school, and went to Wade College for a fashion merchandising degree. And I started working at Nordstrom. But my first business, I would have to say, is I had saved up like a nest egg from working at Nordstrom, and I had gotten into an argument with one of our managers, and I used that money, like I ended up quitting, and I used that money to like do this custom garage sale type of thing out of my parents' garage, where I like bought a whole bunch of denim and like upscaled it for people, invited people to my house. I had a DJ, popsicles, and we just like had a good time. So I always had like an entrepreneur background, but what I learned when I was in the fashion industry, because after working at Nordstrom, I was a production manager at a clothing manufacturer in Arlington, Texas. And what I learned there is that it's very expensive to have a fashion line. Like you have to have like real disposable money, upwards of like $250,000 to really, really just have the time to develop an actual line and a brand. And so I was like, I don't have that much money. I don't have time to like build up that much money. And I actually had got in trouble working at Nordstrom, and I like got in some trouble, got caught doing some shisty stuff, and I got put on probation for like 5 years. And that day, like when I was leaving, getting picked up from jail, I was just like, I have to do something now. Like, there's no way that I'm gonna subscribe to like a normal life. Like if I don't excel my life right now, like I will forever have like a below average type of lifestyle, just because based off of the jobs that I would be able to get. And so like I really had been thinking about that. And I had a friend who was a hairstylist, and I took like some of the money that I had doing some shisty stuff, and I was like trying to flip hair like with her, and that worked out. But she was like, you should get into the beauty industry, you should do something. And I would like always do my own cluster lashes, which is what I wear now. And she wanted me to do them on her. And so I started doing these cluster lashes on her, other people, and I started Roxy Lashes, which is the Gmail that I signed in to the Zoom. And that's like my logo for my first lash business. And I just started doing lashes. I didn't even know that you needed a license. I didn't even know what lash extensions were. The people that I started doing cluster lashes on, they asked me when I was going to learn how to do lash extensions. And they led me to like, what are lash extensions? Like they led me down that path because they were interested, but they wanted me to learn how to do them so that they could try them. And I got certified, and at the end of my certification, she was like, well, you got to go get your license. You can come to the school that I'm at. And I'm like, okay, well, like I just paid you, but now I got to go to this school, whatever. Like I felt some type of way, but I really didn't care because I was like, if I have to get a license, that's just what I have to do. Like, there's no way around it. I already am doing the stuff. Like I'm already making money. Like I already had like a little clientele who's making money. So it was like a no-brainer for me to go to school and get my license. And that's what I did.
So tell us how school was.
So school was what it was. Like it was what it was. It was a way for me to practice how to do lashes. I didn't have to pay any booth rent. Like it just was a place for me to come. The instructors was nice. I would say that it was a little bit more on the chaotic side. Like there was just a lot of confusion some days. Sometimes you would pull up and the school was closed. Like there was just some things that could have been more streamlined. And so I always thought to myself, like, this could be done a lot better and smoother as far as like the customer experience part. And that's what my experience was, just like with anything that I did. Even the things that I like to do, I lean more towards a customer experience. Like that's really one of my value points. And so I knew when I was in school that I would want to open up a school, my own school, once I got down how to do lashes.
So do you remember that first day when you were in school, when it popped in your head that I'm gonna get my own school?
Yeah, she was telling me, like the school owner, she was telling me like, yeah, if you get your instructor's license, then you can open up a school. And I was like, that's it? So I gotta pay for this license and have this license. Do they have like any requirement on how long I have to have a license before I open up the school? And like I would ask her like these questions. I just was like, how obtainable really is this? Because it sounds like it's like 2-3 steps, and I can really do that. And as far as like the schooling, because to me, I'm like, to have a school, that seemed like a pretty hard job. Like, don't you have to have a degree or some type of like background? But once I understood more, like, no, it's really just paperwork. It's about being in compliance with the building and the curriculum. I was like, that sound like something I could really do. Like if I could focus on that once I learned how to be a lash artist and I had time to like really focus on that, I feel like I could do that.
Okay, so you graduate from LASH School. Then what?
Yeah, so right after I get done getting my eyelash extension specialty license, I went to Vegas for the trade show and kind of like treated myself to just like a little break. And then I came right back and I enrolled to do my instructor's license because at the time, like I was young. I think I was like 23, just living at my parents' house. I didn't have a lot of bills. I had a lot of time. I'm just like, let me just go ahead and clock these hours. And it ended up being a year because there was a restriction for like, if you didn't hold your license for, I think it was 2 years, you had more time than somebody that had their license for longer for the instructor's license. And I was just like, let me just do it. Like, who knows where I'm gonna be at in 2 years? Like trying to, come back and have that time. Like people don't understand, like when you commit to school, that's something different. Like it's affecting how you make your money, the obligations, your financial responsibilities, because you don't have time to do, like you really have to lock in. And I was like, this is just that time to do it. If there is any other time, now is the time.
Okay, so now you get your instructor's license. Is that right?
Yeah. I had clocked the hours. I didn't actually go test for my instructor's license until like the end of 2019 did I get my instructor's license. But I had already, I felt like did the hardest part, which is get the hours.
So then what were you doing? Working in the shop, or tell us about what were you doing?
Yeah, so even when I enrolled in school, I had like my own salon suite. Like everybody starts off with like the person that was doing my hair, she had a room and I started doing lashes in there. And so I really already had a clientele in the city that I was in, but I felt like I wanted to charge more. So I moved downtown not even downtown Dallas. I moved like North Dallas and I lost like 60% of my clientele. And so I had to rebuild a clientele. So I did that. That took 6 months. And I just lashed. I did certification trainings. I spoke at schools and I just built my clientele. And then I found out I was pregnant. And that's really when I buckled down, studied for the test, went to go pass the test, and I actually got the license. And then I just like kept on working. So I was like, there's really not much I can do. Like, I'm gonna have this baby. Like, let me just work and save as much money as I can so that I can be able to take off while I'm at home with my baby and actually work a little bit, you know, do the curriculum, fill out the applications, and like do all that. It's a lot of work behind the scenes. Like, before you even get the building, really, I got the building, and while the construction work was going on, I'm doing like all the contracts, the enrollment agreements, we're marketing. Like, I didn't even have a VA at that time. I was literally doing everything like by myself and just getting some feedback, and it was just very raw and authentic. And yeah, after that, I opened up the school, and the rest is
How did
history.
you rebuild? How did you rebuild your clientele? You moved from that location to another location and lost 60% of your clients.
Yeah, I just stayed busy. Like, I just stayed busy. I did lashes for free. I did lashes for a discount. I just always was lashing. Like, even if I didn't have nobody, I was still lashing. Like, anybody that I talked to while I was out, I got like several waitresses to come and lay down for me because I knew that it was just about staying consistent and getting the content. Like, people didn't need to know that this is not somebody that's not paying me. So I kind of used that to my advantage, and I just looked busy. And because of that, because I was still putting it on my books, it did look like I was busy. Like, you couldn't just book an appointment with me because I was actually booking myself with models and just charging them like $50. But we would do a photo shoot after, and I would use that for a campaign. And I didn't really care. And I just kept on going. Like, I just kept whatever I made, I put it back into the business. Like, I just kept on going, new flyers, content, giveaways. Like, I used to travel to people. I went to different trainings, so I learned different techniques. And once I learned how to do strip lashes, I was able to charge a lot more for the service, plus like a design fee, which was like an additional $50 on top of what I was already charging. So it didn't take long, but once I started putting out these different types of sets that people actually really wanted, was like something more wispy, natural, and nobody else was doing it, like, people didn't care how much I was charging. So that's really how I got booked up.
So when you would go out in public, what was your approach to get that waitress or this woman out in public to get in your chair? Because we got a lot of people on here right now. Some of them don't have a clientele, and they'll wonder, well, how can I get clients? So tell us what you did, what you said to them.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot of times where people told me no and looked at me crazy, but I'm just like a real, just authentic type of person. Like, I still do these things today. So like, the last person that I met, I was at a birthday party. His name is Xavier, and I love doing lashes on men. Like, it's so fulfilling. And he was there, he was looking cute, and I brought my friend who does lashes, and I'm like, he's really gorgeous. Like, I want to do a photo shoot on him. And I just got up, we were smoking hookah, and I just got up and I was like, hey, like, what's your name? Like, I love your look. You are just glowing. Like, you have a perfect symmetrical face. Like, I'm a lash artist, and I show them some of my work. Like, I show them the finished product of my work, which is like a beautiful edited photo. And I'm like, these are the photo shoots me and my friend do. Like, my friend's right there, we're super cool. Like, are you down? Like, I'll pay you. Like, now I pay people, especially if I handpick them, I'm still gonna pay them because it's like a 6-hour, 8-hour process with makeup and just like different outfits and the actual application for it to be perfect. And I just keep it real with them. I'm like, you're dope. I'm not creepy, but I do these lashes. Like, are you cool with lashes? Like, you look like, would you be down for that? I asked them and they're yes or no. But for somebody that's maybe more corporate or maybe like an older lady, I would always ask like older ladies, especially if that's something that I wanted to like market. I would just introduce myself and say, wow, you have gorgeous lashes. Like your natural lashes are beautiful. I actually do lash extensions. I would love to like enhance your look. Like I would use very just words that wouldn't scare them because they don't really know the techniques. They want something more natural. So I would really try to come off more as like the expert. And a lot of times people would fall in love with like what I was telling them because they always had a horror story. So they would be like, oh, like I got my lashes done, or I let my cousin practice on me and she glued my eyes shut. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like that never happens. Like I definitely understand like your hesitation, but you know, now with the products and the process, like there shouldn't be any pain. Like if you're nervous about getting allergic reaction, like I can definitely put a few lashes on you. We can see if you react, and if you don't, you come back. Like I would just kind of like calm them down, let them know like, hey, like I actually know what I'm doing because I get it. I really didn't get it. I was more naive. I was more just like, why don't you just trust me to do your lashes? Like that was kind of like low key my attitude because I felt like, you know, I didn't know that bad lashes was like that bad. But towards the end of my career, I'm like, we're in Texas. A lot of these lash lounges started in Texas. And that's the reason why I'm seeing all these bad lashes. So of course, everybody has bad experiences. So I just figured out that you really need to lean with the education first. So I was always educating people. And that's just what got me in the door.
So what were some of the horror stories of the lashes?
Yeah, people just saying that they had an allergic reaction. And I would just let them know, like, that's totally normal. Like, you probably develop allergic reaction, which is totally normal. And that's just something that happens. I'm sorry that happened to you. And it's just like the application. So you would have your lashes are super glued together. Like the person didn't take time to actually separate every bond and make sure that there's nothing stuck. And people getting cornea abrasions, which is where they like lay the iPad or they use tape as an iPad and they lay it really close. And they don't understand that when somebody closes their eyes move. So you really don't want somebody to look all the way back at you when you're laying the iPad because it's not going to be in the same place. You kind of want them to just open up and look straight ahead so that it's not stretched out. So people always have that and complain like the next day that their eyes hurt. And I would just let them know like, hey, you know, well, while you're getting your lashes done, if you do feel like something's poking you, please let me know. Like, don't just sit there. And a lot of clients will do that. They will just sit there and they'll take the pain, don't say nothing to you. And then they don't come back or they don't tell you. And you're just like, what happened?
Now, what about them big lashes that we see on social media?
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing that. I feel like, and I don't want to tie this to like a specific demographic, but I feel like the big lashes has something to do with just like the way you see yourself and your value and just trying to be like over extreme. I feel like, you know, with the cosmetic surgery and the big lips and the big lashes, the big hair, nails, like it's just all this facade so people don't pay attention to the person that you actually are. And instead of it's being a real natural enhancement like it's supposed to be, people are using it as a way to like deflect. So I just never did them. And I would have people that book with me and they would tell me like, oh, I want to come to you because you don't do black girl lashes. And I would be like, yeah, I mean, I just don't do lashes that are going to damage your natural lashes. Like I'm not going to overextend them because I know when you look up and you don't have lashes, you're just going to blame me. And that's not, I'm a healthy natural lash artist. That was like always my tagline. Like I actually pay attention to your natural lashes. So I know when I can extend it further. If it's your birthday or you know, if it's a vacation or if it's a special occasion, you're gonna take photos, we can try something, like we can take it to the next level. But the very big extreme lashes, they're not for daily wear. They're not to be wearing throughout the whole year, especially when your natural lashes, they're shedding. And so there's times where your lash line is just not as strong to handle that type of stuff. And it's really hard to kind of go backwards. Like when clients get addicted to that look, and you can no longer give it to them because there simply are just no natural lashes there because you've overweight them. They grow in thinner and they just become dormant. Like, what is there to do?
Okay. Now, when you were getting ready to open a school, did you drive around to look for a building? Because a lot of people on here, they're wondering, well, how did you find your building? What did you do? Tell us about that process.
So I was truly blessed. Like, I have an OG lash mentor. Her name is Tiana Seo. She owns the Lash Exchange. And she let me rent out of her space where she was selling lash supplies. And right next to her was 2 empty spaces. And when I got pregnant, a natural beauty supply store moved in right next to her. But then there was this one space in the middle after that was still available. And after looking, I didn't even really look. Like, I always knew I wanted to put my school right next to hers because I wanted to work with her. Like, and it just made sense. Like, she is doing lash supplies. I'm opening up a lash school. Like, we already collaborate. We were already doing classes. We were already collaborating. Like, we've been doing projects and stuff like that. And I told her that I really wanted her to, like, I pretty much told her that I wanted to retire her from actually doing lashes and she can help me run the school. Like, day one, when I met her, like when I started renting from her, she always thought I was crazy. Like, to this day, she's like, "Bitch, you really did that. Like, I can't believe you really did that." But yeah, the space, I just started off small. My space is an industrial zone. It is not commercial. It's not triple net. So it's very affordable. Like, it's not breaking the bank. My expenses are very low. And it's 1,400 square feet. It's just enough. Like, and when I do need bigger spaces, like when we actually have events, like if we have open house, or if we have like a really big certification day, then we would use my friend's space, which I'm actually taking over in January. I'm actually taking over her location and expanding over there and kind of using it as an event space because we're always over there because our school is just not big enough to accommodate more people.
Okay, so when you get the school open, so you get approved through TDLR, you're open. How did you get students?
I started before I opened.
Tell
I
us
had
about that.
people. Yeah, I mean, I started marketing. Look, I had people in the industry who already knew who I was, who already supported like my message of being a natural lash artist, and who already like went to other schools and they were like, "Oh, I see you about to open a school. Like, I'm gonna send girls to you." Like, I really already had some support. I have my friend Tiana. She knows a lot of people. I know I have industry friends. So it just automatically went crazy. And at that time, we had the instructor's license as well. And that was very, very lucrative for the business because everybody, once they saw me open up a school, we had like 10 instructors wanting to get their instructor's license as well. So I just marketed it well. Like, I just used the email list that Tiana had. Like, she blasted it out. I had some emails that from me doing lashes. I was just telling everybody. Social media, ran ads. My first class was 3 students. I had 4, but then I had like somebody move here and she just disappeared. Like, she just stopped paying her tuition. And then I got in a fight with the other student. And so I really only had like 2 students.
Can
But
you tell us about that?
yeah, it was crazy. Her name was Irene, but to my defense, this lady, I think she was on drugs. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I think she was on drugs because she's just very, just like the way she would move. but she got upset at me because I was moving a volume demonstration back because they didn't really know how to do classic lashes. And I guess she just was so excited about it because like she wanted to have a model and she felt like I wasn't giving her what she was paying for and this and that. And I was just so stressed out. And I just was explaining to her, like, I'm not going to not give you what I told you what you signed up for. Like, that's not how I do business. Like, of course I'm going to teach you. I just don't think that it's something that you need to learn right now. Like, we had some students that had missed some days, and I'm just like, everybody needs to be on the same level when I teach you guys this. Like, let's get it down. We need to still do like time, like a time mannequin, a time model, like a whole bunch of stuff. And so she just took offense to that. And I kind of got out of pocket and I yelled back at her. And I just gave her, I think I gave her a refund. And she didn't come back. Like, I was like, that's it. Like, you can go somewhere else with that.
Now, okay, so you run it to school. Now, when you were in the shop, why did you want to open that school? Because you were making money in the shop. I mean, were you tired or?
Yeah. I was tired because I was working. I worked until the day I had my son. So like, I was working very hard because I wanted to save up money to open up the school. But I knew that with me having a child, that I wanted to have a school so I could have time to like do stuff with him and travel. Like, I already knew that's something that I wanted to do. I was like messing up my wrist because I was lashing so hard. And when you get pregnant, your bones start to move and stuff. So like my wrists, like I still don't lash. Like even after I had Bronx, I had a few clients, but I kind of let it go because everything with the school was just getting so busy. And I just knew I couldn't do both. Like, I really believe that I could not do both. Like, I tried it for a little bit and it just kind of got too hectic. It got to a point where my time was more valuable, just not doing that. And I just recognize that. Like, I think I'm a true like entrepreneur, like in my heart of hearts. And I understood from the beginning that I wanted to have like employees, I wanted to have a team. Like I really just took that into consideration. And so I just started doing that. I started off after I had that blowout with the student, I hired a virtual assistant and I just started off with what I could. Like, I could only afford for her to work 3 hours a week at that time. And before she left me, she like expanded her role and she was making like $4,000 a month. So I just started with what I could. Like, I would just talk to her about the stuff that I'm struggling with. She's like, okay, I can do that. Like, I can delegate that. Like, I can do this. You don't have to do that no more. And just as things got crazier with the business, she started developing job descriptions. We started hiring. Like, we were actually starting to like make things happen. And then I brought on my friend, Tiana, and she did like the sales and marketing, and she actually branded DLU, and together we did photo shoots, and so our marketing always stayed fresh and beautiful, and we just kind of stayed ahead of the curve. And because it was COVID, we were able to do an online program, and that was the first to ever be done in Texas, was the online program specifically for eyelash extensions. My lady did not have the online program for eyelash extensions that they just released. So we started working on that, and that took us about a year to really develop that and test it. So yeah.
Now, you were married at the time, weren't you? Or tell us about.
Yeah. So I got married in January 2020 as well. But we've been separated since 2021. But yeah, I went through a lot of personal just transitions with my ex-husband. We had moved to a new house. It was pretty far from our family, so we kind of lost being very close to our village, and then just going through postpartum and all these different types of things. So I ended up leaving him when my child was 5 months, and I got like an apartment, and we kind of just separated. And so it was a lot. It was a lot going on. I really felt like I was losing my mind. Just got very dark. I had to get a therapist, and I started back working out. But yeah.
So how were you able to cope with that and run the school? Because when you go to school, the leader has to be happy. You got to put that happy face on and do all that. So how was that?
Yeah, I can definitely say that once I had instructors there at the school, I was not at the school. Chan, like I was not at the school. I never really work at the school even now. Like the school is for the instructor. It's not really that big. Of course, I pop in then and there, but I really empowered our instructors to, like, once I trained them, of course, like I would be there for like 4 weeks, train them, and it's like I'm just coming in and checking on them. But I'm still very in tune with like the business because I see all the emails. I respond to all of our students as soon as they see stuff. I'm in the DMs. We have a lot of meetings. So I was still like involved on just putting up the foundation, but I was not there at the school. So I think that that just allowed me to be able to really have more time to make sure that I was okay, so that when I am at the school or at these events, that I was able to show up in the way that I really, was happy. And instead, I just spent more of my time like going to chamber meetings, networking events. We were developing the online curriculum, so we were doing a lot of filming, working on the website, just a lot of other more important things than me being at school.
Now, I see a lot of women on here too. How did you get the strength and the courage to leave? Because my sister, she has a lot of friends, and I'll go over her house and they'll sit on the porch and gossip. And sometimes I'll just sit around and then, just to be there with her, then I'll leave. But that takes a lot of courage or whatever to do what you did.
Yeah, I still wasn't happy. Like I really didn't like the person I was becoming because I was in the relationship, and it really didn't expose that until we like moved out into that home and had our child, because before that we both lived at our parents' house. So that was like my first experience ever living with someone, as well as being married and having a kid and all this other stuff. And I just knew I wasn't happy. The very last straw for me, though, like I left him at 5 months, and around Christmas time, he convinced me to come back and we'll go to counseling. So I did that, because I really want to fight for our family. And I thought that that would work, us going to counseling. So I went back, and he was still like involved in my business a little bit because he by trade is a videographer, photographer. And when I was doing Roxy lashes, like he would do all my photo shoots and that type of stuff. That was how I got my content, was through my boyfriend and now ex-husband. And so we were preparing. We had already had our first graduation, and he was in charge of videography and photography for the first graduations. But because he's one person, there was a lot of content that we missed out on. We didn't get a group photo, which I thought was like, that's the moneymaker. Like, what are we doing here? We didn't have like certain shots at the time that things were happening because, again, he's one person. And so it's the second graduation coming up, and I'm like, okay, we really need to hire a team. Like, we need to hire a team. There's nothing against you. I still need you to manage a team. Like, I need you to work with them and make sure that they get the vision, like they get all the shots, everything that I want you to do. Like, I need you to be in charge of that. And he took offense to it. He was like, you're wasting money. Like, how much are you paying them? And he really like tried to make it seem like I wasn't making a good decision about my business. And I just had a moment in time where it flashed, like something just popped up, like, Roxy, if you stay with this man, one day you're gonna lose everything because of him. Like, I'm telling you, because of his business ethics, because of his character, his integrity, like it's gonna be the downfall of him. Like, you really need to just leave him where he's at. And he had kind of like embarrassed me in front of a meeting. Like, we were on a team meeting with other people. And granted, looking back, like that was my husband. Like, I probably should have mentioned that to him before the meeting. But I did feel like even if I would have did that, he would have shut me down. He still would have had a problem with it. Like, and we're just never on the same page. So the reason why I did that is because it's not just me holding him accountable. I wanted him to work with everybody else on this, like social media. We had an assistant at that time, and I'm not working in these departments. I'm just there telling them what my vision is, and they need to work together. That's the type of thing I was trying to get to happen. But that's not his work ethic. He's selfish. He doesn't have integrity. Like, he just is so about his ego that he wasn't going to, like, be like, oh, okay, that's a great idea, or let me look into them, let me make sure that they're the best fit. Like, it was all about him and how it made him feel. And I was like, it's not about you, it's about the business. We need a group shot, we need a video, we need multiple camera angles at the same time. Like, I'm not putting on this graduation, we're not walking away with what we need to market. And I'm like, that's where I was like, you can't get that through your head and understand how that content makes us triple the amount of revenue, then I'm sorry. Like, we will never, that was my last straw. Cause I'm like, you mess with my money and how I live my life and my lifestyle, you're not getting that, it's a wrap. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, okay. Any
Okay, I
advice
can hear now.
that you would give the people on here as far as that? I guess running a business and home life.
You said any advice?
Yeah. What advice would
Yeah, I would definitely say, like, when you are locking into this like tunnel vision of wanting to get something like this done, as far as like opening up your school, there's times where you need to just be by yourself. And I really think that taking that time to journal, self-reflect, like really get in tune with the vision that you want, because with the vision, you're able to make goals, and then you turn them into SMART goals, and then you actually start obtaining them. But in order to do that, you really need to become one with yourself, and just stop kind of telling everybody like what you're gonna do, this and that, because sometimes you tell people stuff and they just don't get it, and then that kind of kills your vibe, or can slow you down, or it can have you second guessing. And so you really just want to keep these things to yourself and really work on them and structure them before you start telling people or trying to hire people or trying to do this and that, or all these other things. Like, really flush it out, because there's so many other things that go into launching this type of stuff like that. Yeah, you want to launch it, but there's so many steps before launch that I'm realizing that needs to happen for it to be successful. And it's just your mindset. Like, it really is just your mindset. Like, really think big, think about what it's going to look like 10, 20, 30 years. Like, I was just talking to my coach about that. And I'm like, in 30 years, I want to have like a private plane. I want to be able to go to fashion shows. I want to be able to, like, not have to work and just travel. Like, okay, then in 20 years, what do you need to be doing to make it to that? And that's kind of how you work backwards to, achieve your goals.
What would you tell a beauty professional that has this dream of opening the school, but they scared? They're making all these excuses of why not.
Well, I mean, fear is definitely just like a limited belief. So I think you just really need to get clear on like a timeline and how you can make it like obtainable. It just takes so many small steps. And then also just like, you gotta know that you're gonna be organized as well. And if you're not good at those things, it's fine to delegate. Like, you have to be okay with delegating and understanding that it's not going to be you doing everything, but you do at a certain point need to still know how these things operate so that they match up with your vision. And so that people know how to get things done before you just hand it off. But yeah, I mean, make sure that you have, I wouldn't even say like a business plan, but really just understand your expenses, and then understand like the market strategy of how you're going to fill your seats, and understand like your contracts and Honestly, I just really just studied the TDLR law and rule book. Like I just really broke it down. I just copied and pasted all the things that every law that pertained to like me and what I was trying to do. And I just kind of like worked backwards really from there to make sure that we covered everything. And at least just have somebody that you trust. Like, thank God I had some mentors. I even had some friends who had schools that went to my school, but they had went on and opened up schools. And I just asked them, like, you know, like, what is it really like to have students? Like, what are the issues, you know, being late? So I can make sure I'm prepared for what if a student is late past the max? Are you going to drop them? Like, what does those policies really look like? And yeah, those are just some things I felt like really prepared me to make me feel like I could accomplish it.
If you had not opened a school, what do you feel you would be doing?
If I hadn't opened a school, um, who really knows? I mean, I feel like I would definitely still be lashing and probably just doing like certification classes, because those things, you know, still did make me happy. It's just like my body was starting to break down and my wrists was starting to break down, but I'm pretty sure that I was still like maybe become like a mentor or something like that. Like there's other things that I definitely want to do, maybe start like a lash apparel brand. But there's other things I want to get into before, like, you know, the obvious, which is lash supply and like all that type of stuff. But I would, if that didn't work out, I'll probably go back to fashion. Like I could always go back to being a production manager. I have a really good relationship with the clothing manufacturer, and probably just stay at a minimal, work my way within her company. But she wasn't paying me a lot. I was getting paid like $9 an hour. It wasn't much, but who knows?
Now you
God,
said the body was breaking down, but you pretty young, Roxy.
I know, but I was very overweight because I gained like 60 pounds when I was pregnant because I was just lashing and I wasn't taking care of myself.
So what was your body doing? How was it feeling, or what was breaking down? Like,
So really, like I have really bad sciatic nerve right now, and
what is
I
that?
recently,
When you
so
say
it's like,
that, what is that?
yeah, so like the nerve in my hip, it doesn't really get a lot of circulation. So it aches a lot of times and it just kind of bothers me. And then my hand, like the way I was doing my volume fans is probably not like the best technique. And it actually like made my wrist hurt really bad. And I got like this little kind of like lump. It's kind of gone down, but it used to be like a lot bigger right here. So those were some things that were definitely concerning to me. Yeah.
Now, did you feel anything like one of my friends, she's a hairstylist, and she can't even open a pickle jar now.
Yeah,
But
that's hard for me as well. That's hard for me as well, just because like this hand is just not as strong as it used to be. And because of the tension on the tweezers, like you have your hand like this, and the way you have it to place the lashes, sometimes like you have to have like a dexterous type of movement within your wrist. And if you're not working it out, like it can really start to ache. Like there were some times when I'm like going to bed and my hand, like all this would just ache. So
did you ever wear those black gloves? Like one of my friends used to wear these black glove brace things when she went to sleep at night. Every night she'd put these braces.
oh no. I mean, at one point in time I did have to wear like a carpal tunnel type of brace, like a wrist brace. Yeah.
Um, do you have time for some Q&A, Roxy?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me